Hello everybody, Brendan here from worldofbikes.co today. Today we're doing a great little test drive on a BMW F800ST. This is obviously off of the F series from BMW, so not like the R series that's got the box engine. I believe this is a 2-cylinder 800cc motorcycle. Gorgeous bikes overall. The specific one that we have right now is an Alpine White. Just a couple of quick things that I just want to chat about. If you look at the gauge cluster, it's got some lights blinking and other ones that are stable. So the first one, I'm not sure if you guys can see properly, but that's the brake light, also the ABS light. So this bike does have active ABS. That will keep flashing unless you're riding it, so once you start riding it, that light goes away. Second one's just oil pressure. Obviously the bike's off right now, so we don't have any oil pressure. The third one is the engine warning light. And that's something that I specifically wanted to talk about on this motorcycle, because on the little display to the right there, it will actually tell you why it's kicking up the error light. So it's no funny thing where you need to go to a dealership and have the bike plugged in to check what the error is and then research the code and all that kind of stuff. This bike literally just tells you what it is, gets it over and done with. You can fix it. I know on this motorcycle it's currently the high beams, or the brights as we call it here in South Africa. So that little globe has just popped, but I'm sure that'll be fixed before she goes up for sale. This specific bike is the highest package, as far as I know, that you can get from BMW on this specific bike. Obviously it's the one with the ABS as well as the grip warmers. Just a quick thing about those, especially now that we're going into winter here in South Africa, those things can be an absolute lifesaver and they warm you from your soul. The bike is ice cold. So we're going to take it for a little test drive. You guys can hear how it starts up, how it idles with the idle control valve on. So it does idle a little higher when it's cold, obviously, and all that kind of good stuff. Oh, it's in gear. Obviously it's not going to start. There we go. Starts up first time, no issues at all. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so this bike also has a little info screen. It'll tell you the mileage if you go through all the info panels on the left here. It'll tell you outside temp. I believe that's average speed that you drive on the motorcycle. I think that's liters per 100 kilometers, which is on about 4 right now. I know the official stats say it's 3.7, which roughly is about 28 kilometers per liter. I know on this bike I've been getting a constant anything from 22 to about 26 kilometers per liter on a 16-liter fuel tank with an extra 2 liters for reserve. So if your reserve light does come on, you know you've still got a safe 35 to 40 kilometers that you can ride before you absolutely need to get to a gas station or a petrol station. Great little bikes these. I really do enjoy the size of the fuel tank because it has ample space for you to get some good mileage in. I know I've been getting about just over 300 kilometers on a tank, and I know with South Africa's current prices, it's definitely one of the better things to have, is something that's more economic on fuel. So chatting more about this bike, just first couple of things, let's just chat about what I don't like about it. Obviously it's a BMW, so you're always stressed about maintenance and all that kind of stuff, because it is one of the more expensive brands, if that's even a word, more expensive brands of motorcycles. So that'll always be something in the back of your head. And after doing a little bit of research, the maintenance on these bikes really isn't that bad at all. They do have one point that is a little bit on the expensive side. So these bikes do not have chains. They actually work with belts, similar to some Harleys. I know a lot of the BMWs use belts, and that can become expensive when you need to replace it. I'm not 100% sure on the figures, but what it does allow is it's a lot less maintenance than a chain bike. So you don't have to lube it, you don't need to make sure it stays clean, you don't need to make sure those little O-rings are constantly lubed. Ooh, beautiful little BMW there as well. So it definitely is lower on the maintenance side, but it does cost more when you need to replace it. I believe it's a nylon Kevlar belt or something similar to that. Oh, that BMW really wanted it. Secondly, the gears changes on this bike is extremely soft. That's why I'm very, very grateful for the gear indicator on the little dash, because sometimes you're not sure if you're in gear or not. You don't know. You know you're in gear, but it's not. I'm used to those big leader bikes and 600cc's, and you know in those bikes when you change gear, you know you've changed the gear, and you just keep shifting until you can't shift anymore. You know you're in 6th gear and you're happy. So definitely another little point on that. I was lucky enough to ride the F800 GS, the 2011 model, I believe it was, a good while back. I think it was about a year and a half ago. And I remember one of my biggest complaints on that motorcycle was just the fact that you can't really hear the engine tone on it with a stock exhaust unless you're actually beating on it. On this bike, it's very, very lucky to have a Leo Vince SPK slip-on, and I must admit, I think that is just the perfect little balance between a hell of a lot of noise and just enough noise. No way. To no noise, to just enough noise where you can hear it. I've done a lot of, well, I've not done a lot, but I've done more than enough highway kilometers on this motorcycle. And when you're cruising, you can barely hear it, you know it's there, but as soon as you start opening up the bike, if you need to go through a gap or push a gap or something like that to get to your turn off or get past a couple of cars that are making you feel a little nervous, it's definitely got ample speed to just get you past that and get you where you need to be. The bike doesn't make a lot of power. I believe it makes 84 horsepower. I'm not sure on the foot-pounds on torque, but I believe in newton meters it's 82 newton meters, which, comparing to today's leader bikes, the like 2010s, 2021s, those things are producing 210, 220 horsepower. But on a bike like this, it's genuinely not needed. This bike has more than enough power for what you'll need. It's not a super bike. I believe this bike does fall into the sports tourer category instead of like a commuter style bike, which I can understand, especially just based off of the aesthetics, how it looks. I must admit, I love this Alpine white. This is original BMW Alpine white on this bike. I think it's stunning. They do come in some other colors. I know there's like a gunmetal gray as well as a yellow, but really, really good looking bikes. You can definitely see the, if I could call it, GS heritage within the bikes. When you look at the headlights, it doesn't quite look like a GS exactly, but you still get the same idea from the headlights. As for a commuter bike, this is definitely the bike I would pick if I need to ride every day to work and I'm doing 30 to 60 kilometers a day, or one-way trips. Just because of how good it is on fuel, how easy it is to ride. This thing is an absolute blast to ride. I'd almost be willing to say that if you've got a beginner that's just had enough experience on a bike and he knows how to ride a bike, he will be able to ride this bike quite comfortably. I would not, however, advise putting a beginner on this bike, because it is just a little bit too much power for a beginner. Definitely someone who has some experience in riding will get to utilize this bike for all it's worth. And then just a last little topic, the controls on this bike are absolutely beautiful. I've really liked it. It doesn't have that little toggle switch for the indicators on the left. You've got individual buttons on the right and on the left for your indicators, as well as a little indicator cancel button that I really, really do like. It almost makes you want to indicate more. I mean, you're supposed to indicate, don't get me wrong, you're supposed to indicate every time you're supposed to turn, you know, where it is legally permissible and needed, but it just makes you want to be more of a safer rider. Overall, I've been enjoying this motorcycle a heck of a lot, and I think for its price range, so comparing these things to what's available in South Africa, like the Kawasaki KLEs, the 650s, and the Suzuki DL650 V-Stroms, they are a little bit more expensive, not that much more expensive, but I know on these bikes they get a hell of a lot more mileage than the Suzuki and Kawasaki counterparts. These things just keep on going. I've seen examples of these bikes reach 120 to 150,000 kilometers with a decent service history, and they don't even bat an eye. They just keep going. It's pretty much exactly the same as the GS. The seating position is in between upright and sporty, which I do like. It's very comfortable. As a guy that's used to superbikes and leader bikes and all that kind of stuff, it did take a little bit of getting used to. You're not being, if I could say, sucked into the bike as much, but overall it's very comfortable. If I need to ride this bike every single day, I would most definitely do it. I wouldn't even have a problem with it.